us off with our first speaker, who is Matt Jones, co-founder and brand director from Four Pillars. And an entrepreneur, speak with global background in political campaigning. Just finding this shit out now would have been really useful when I was trying to kick off the campaigning I've been doing. But, read the bios properly next time. So communications, brand experience, and business. He's passionate about social impact, storytelling, community, and, of course, gin. And his topic today for us is In Craft We Trust, creating the Four Pillars gin brand. Please welcome Matt Jones.
Thanks, Michael. Oh, that's loud. Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Luke. Four Pillars Gin does not exist without this hospitality industry, so it's great to be able to talk to you guys and say thank you because, without you, we're nothing much at all. In Craft We Trust, it's true. We are a business built on craft, but it's my job to talk about brand and the relationship between craft and brand. And sometimes that's counterintuitive. We're a room that believes in authenticity, in craft, in quality, in provenance, in doing things right and doing things brilliantly. So why do we have to worry about craft at all and the translation of that into brand? It comes back to me to this piece of artwork. This is René Magritte's famous painting, The Treachery of Images. Ceci n'est pas un pipe, for those who didn't study French at school. This is not a pipe. It is, of course, a picture of a pipe. This is not a brand. This is a picture of a brand. It's a brand mark. It's something that makes us feel things. It creates echoes, it creates resonance, it creates a gut response, it creates an emotional response. This is what brand is. Brand is not real, brand is just bias. It's the bias that we carry with us. It's the response we have, positive or negative, to businesses, to people, to cities, to experiences. And we need to own that. If we want to be successful in business, whether that's making gin or running a great hospitality business, we need to take responsibility for how people feel, for how they emotionally respond. I'm obsessed with Onitsuka Tiger. I cannot particularly justify. I can rationalize it. I can't particularly justify it. I always wear these shoes, except when it's raining because they leak. And then I've got one pair of Batadara and Williams that I wear. But apart from that, I'm always wearing Tigers. I'm probably too old for it, but I'm not going to change it now. It's my habit. It's my bias. It's what I do. I hate Bing. I think Bing is a despicable way to search the internet. I think businesses that give their employees Windows PCs and force them to default to Bing are sadistic. They're intolerably cruel. Bing is wrong. But the funny thing is Bing might be good. I don't know. I'm not going to find out. I'm not going to waste my time once a day, once a week. Even Bing knows this. If you Google Bing and you find the Bing page and you start to do a predictive search, Bing assumes you want to know why it sucks. Like Bing has a fundamental Bing problem. So look, the reason I want to reflect on that is then when you get to building a brand, building a business, what matters? How do you avoid being Bing? How do you become Onitsuka Tiger in Matt's life? And for me, it's about two really critical things. The first is I think you have to stand for something. In our language, that's craft. You have to have a craft. You have to have something that you are committed to honing, to improving, to getting better at every day, to doing better or differently to other people. There has to be substance there. If there's no substance, why is anyone going to care? But critically, you then have to work that into the experiences you create. If you simply have a craft, you simply have something, as a guy I used to work with in politics, referred to this idea of a piss in a wetsuit, things that make you feel warm and no one else notices. It's a vivid analogy. Live with it. But if you've just got a great craft and it's not in the experiences you're giving to people, then it's fantastic. You feel awesome, but it's not working hard for you. So craft and experience really, for me, are the two critical things. This is where it comes together for us. This is Four Pillars Distillery in the Yarra Valley. I suspect a few of you guys have been down. Hopefully we've hosted a few of you guys. And this is what it looked like on day one. It's never looked like that since. That's Cameron there with Wilma. Wilma's our original beautiful copper still made by Christian Karl of Stuttgart in Germany. Wilma's named after Cameron's late mum. This is Jude next to her, the same still, a little bit bigger, named after Stuart, my other co-founder's mother. Both Judes have a slightly higher capacity for alcohol. This is really, apart from Jez's legs, this is what life looks like at Four Pillars. We are a making business. We are every day making, experimenting. We make gin alone. We make many, many different types of gin. We play with botanicals. To Michael's point earlier, we take advantage of two, I think, versions of what Australia's all about. One is, this is the best tasting place on earth. The collision of food cultures, the extraordinary produce, and yes, the indigenous flavors and botanicals we have access to nowhere taste like Australia, and therefore gin from Australia can taste different and better than anything else on the planet. Particularly for us, fresh citrus, the use of whole fresh oranges, has been a game changer for us. You simply can't do it in the cold Northern Hemisphere. That's what's given birth to this, our signature gin, our original rare dry gin. We launched it in December 2013, so it's coming up to 6 years old, which is terrifying. Very quickly won a double gold medal in the San Francisco World Spirits Comp in 2014. That meant every judge had given it a gold, did it again in 16, did it again in the New York version in 17. It's a good gin. It's a delicious gin. It's what you guys are going to have in a gin and tonic at the end of this. And a big part of our role now, my job in the sort of brand and creative space, is to make sure it's served right. Doesn't get a big, stick a cucumber in it, doesn't get lemon or lime, but it's served with whole orange because that's what it deserves, that's what it's made with. And I guess I wanted to highlight that there's a real sliding doors moment here for the Four Pillars brand, because we spend a lot of time creatively talking about that relationship between the botanicals, the oranges, the gin we make, the perfect serve. Rare dry gin and tonic with orange could have been our Hendrix and cucumber story. But that's not the craft business we want to be. That's not a business that is fully pushing the boundaries of what's possible with modern Australian gin. That's a business that made one good gin one day and started repeating itself. And so we started to play. Very early in the Four Pillars story, we started to take input from this industry. Remember, we were taking that gin to the Gin Palace a lot down in Melbourne and getting feedback. And they said to us what most bartenders say, which is, it's great, but could it be stronger? And so we started bottling it at Navy strength, 57% proof, just in unlabeled bottles. And Cameron wasn't happy because that higher alcohol level was holding down the flavor. Didn't have that same aromatic pop. So he went and tracked these things down. These are native finger limes from the Burren hinterland, just beautiful, bursting beads of limey caviar, absolutely delicious. And that became the key ingredient to Four Pillars Navy strength gin. Now, by some distance, the most awarded Navy strength on the planet. And then we just kept pushing. Old French oak Chardonnay barrels, creating our original barrel-aged gin. Sherry casks, creating our sherry cask gin. And with that sort of barrel story, we start to look more at the possibilities of not being an urban distillery, although that's a wonderful thing, but being a distillery in a wine region. And in particular, one day we stole some fruit. We stole some Shiraz fruit. And this is a dramatic recreation. Those are not Cameron's hands. And we poured high-proof red dry gin over the top of Shiraz grapes. Every day for 8 weeks, we just stirred them. Again, dramatic recreation. We squeezed out the fruit, probably looked more like that, and just pressed that fruit, and out came incredible Blaze Shiraz gin, a truly Australian invention, at the time a unique Four Pillars invention, and a real game changer in terms of the flavor possibilities that it's given to, I think, the bartenders both in bars and at home. And so then, with that, you're pushing the craft more and more. We've got this beautiful core of gins, but then we push again. We were creating hundreds of kilograms of gin-steamed oranges every month, making that rare dry gin. And so rather than throw them away, we turn that into an orange marmalade, gin-steamed orange marmalade. We add some Campari to every second batch. We make a little breakfast Negroni. We take the water, the stillage, and instead of throwing that away, we give it to a local cheesemaker. Make a gin moonshine cheese. That's the distillery snack. True story. Pig farmer walks into the distillery, says, "What do you do with your botanicals?" We say, "Well, not much." He said, "My pigs would eat them." Beautiful, rare breed, free-range Berkshire pigs. They now eat a diet augmented by delicious gin botanicals. They have one bad day, and we have gin big dinners. And just extraordinary celebrations of that whole community, that whole sense of craft. And I guess at this point, I feel that craft is deep enough. I think we've got enough going on in terms of exploring gin, exploring flavor, exploring what we can do with the process, exploring sustainability, and it becomes about the experience. Ideally, people coming to visit. There's nothing like the visceral, tangible, generous, friendly, hospitable experience of coming into our venue and really being close up and drinking and tasting and talking and seeing the diversity of those gins, while on the other side, Cameron is making. Ideally, now we want customers to come and then make gin with us, to taste gin with us, to have a masterclass. We firmly believe that this is a world that takes care of scale. Our job is quality, not quantity. Our job is intimacy. Our job is to give people extraordinary experiences, stories worth telling. So that's why once a month, 12 people get to make their own gin with us. And that's just the ultimate experience. It's also about taking responsibility for the story you want to be. If you land on the Four Pillars website, you don't see bottles of gin, you see this. You see beautiful imagery of making, because that's what we want you to see. We want you to see what we're doing every day, which is making and exploring, not marketing. It's about why we invest so heavily in photography. We think there's a fundamental visual advantage to the craft of distilling gin. Beautiful stills, beautiful botanicals, beautiful drinks. So it's worth investing the money, investing the effort to curate that as much as Cameron is curating the gin behind the scenes. But still, it ultimately comes back to craft. And where these two link together, I think, is the beautiful relationship between Four Pillars and this industry. Every day, we are failing if we don't have bartenders in, making gin with us, tasting gin with us, learning how to make gin with us. These are the mixologists of the Rockpool Group when we made our original gin for Qantas. And we've actually got our original collaborator, and you're going to hear from Jason shortly, but our original bartender collaborator, the guy who started it all, was when Jason Williams at the time at the Rook was talking to us about what the perfect Negroni gin would be like, a gin that was ballsy enough and spicy enough to stand up to the Campari, stand up to the Vermouth, and Spice Negroni gin was born. We just gave it a beautiful new pack, Jason, this year to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Negroni. And I think things like that just continue to fuel that sense of craft, that sense of community, and then give us beautiful things to build experiences around. So I say you value your craft, value hospitality, but also recognize that people are fundamentally irrational, and you've got to make sure you're constantly building that emotional connection as well as doing all the amazing things you do. Thanks for your time. Have a great afternoon.